All right, hey everybody, Tim here. I wanted to do a quick video tonight about something that's become a pretty big passion point for me. I don't know how many of you are worship leaders, work at churches, or are responsible for worship ministries. But one of the things that's kind of true, at least in my experience, is that most of us have to be a bit of a jack of all trades and master of none. Yes, we're musicians, but we're also pastors, we're also teachers, we're also tech people. And so on my channel, although I love guitar and it's my primary passion, and so you'll see lots of guitar related content from me, from time to time we're also going to do some stuff that's not guitar related, tech related, might help you out in some of the nitty gritties of worship leading and working at a church and trying to outfit your whole band for everything that they need to be successful. And tonight I wanted to talk about something that I think is crucially important, becoming way more popular, and people have tons of questions about, and that's in-ear monitors. In-ear monitors, for me, make an enormous difference in the quality that your band is able to achieve, the way you're able to hear and interact with each other, and of course, keeping everybody happy in terms of volume. You know, when you've got lots of monitors going on stage, the old traditional wedge monitors, they just create a lot of volume. And when you're constantly being told, hey, maybe this is too loud, but you're striving for a great mix that's inspiring and helps people connect with the music so they can connect with Jesus in a more meaningful way, in-ear monitors are a great tool. But the question comes up pretty often and came up a little while ago in a conversation I was having online. Does it really matter what you use for in-ears? You know, because if you've ever done some research into custom molded in-ear monitors, they get expensive. And this has been a question a bunch of people have been asking me lately, because in recent history, I got a new pair of custom molded, in-ear monitors from 64 Audio. And they weren't inexpensive. And I even got a discount because I had a previous pair and they still weren't inexpensive. And so people are like, wow, do you really need those? Now, because I work at a church, I think they're worth the money, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here. I use them every day. Okay, but let me not get ahead of myself too far here, because I have some really specific reasons why I have the in-ear monitors that I do. Let me show you what I've seen people use and what I think about each option, okay? So, new person joins your worship team. You tell them, hey, you need a pair of headphones for your first week. 9 times out of 10, they're going to show up with these. They're going to show up with white headphones that they got with their phone. And, you know, when you're listening to music on your phone, you might be tricked into thinking, wow, those are pretty good. But the first thing that a custom pair of monitors will do for you, or a better pair of monitors will do for you, and one of the main differences between all the headphones we're going to look at is fit and isolation, right? So when you're playing music in a band, you need to make sure that what you're hearing is what you're hearing, and to a certain degree you don't want to hear some of, not all of, some of the ambient noises that are going on outside. So bleed that comes in or a bad seal going out has lots to do with how your low end reacts and how easy it is to get a mix that helps you survive. So if somebody shows up with these white headphones, first thing you need to do is get them to get rid of them and get something else, because they're just not appropriate for what we're doing. You need at least to have something that's got like foam tips on them, so they will cover much of the ear canal, keep lots of noise out and lots of sound in. These happen to be headphones that we get off of Amazon. Let me look up real fast so I remember exactly what they're called. Right, they are Beteran KZ-ATE Dynamic Balanced Armature IEMs. I'll put the link to those in the description below. They're really inexpensive. Like, I live in Canada, they're $30 Canadian or something like that. And for $30 Canadian, they do the trick. You know, when people join my team, this is what we provide for them. If they can't afford anything else, they can afford a $30 pair of headphones. And sometimes you need to make those concessions for people, right? Because you don't want it to be a huge barrier, just the cost of headphones for people to join your worship team. If you're using IEMs and people genuinely don't have any more money to spend, $30 is not a horrible option. I would say probably 70% of my team uses those headphones, despite all the things that I'm about to say and the passion that I have for better headphones. 70% of my team at least uses these $30 headphones from Amazon. And again, the step between white headphones from Apple and $30 headphones from Amazon is a lot about foam tips and isolation. Maybe the drivers are the same. They're a dual driver headphone. I'm not sure if the Apple ones are a dual driver headphone. I think they might be. But, sound quality wise, kind of similar, but that fit, because the fit does lots to keep your bottom end around and keep other sound out, okay? Now, if you wanted something a step up from there, you might consider something like this. These are Shure SE215s, and I believe they are the headphone that comes with most of the IEM wireless systems that you would buy from Shure. They're a dual driver, intended to be used for music. So whereas the ones from Amazon are kind of intended to be used for like dancey, poppy, listening kind of music, the ones from Shure are designed to be used by musicians. And so the EQ curve is different. There's more frequencies that allow you to hear music a little bit better, whereas the other ones are kind of really bass heavy. And that might work for your bass players or your drummers, although your drummer is probably the person who needs the most isolation from their own instrument just to hear everybody else. But anyway, they're quite bottom heavy. The Shures are much more flat. They're louder. So if you need to get above a tight stage, if you're in tight quarters to your drum kit, let's say, that's a huge advantage. And so they're a nice option. Here in Canada, they're about $130. Now, Shure, and we can put these in the category of like a lot of headphones that we call universal fit. That's kind of what we've been talking about. These are headphones that anybody can use. And you can go all the way up to, somebody like 64 Audio has 18 drivers per side in a universal fit, or at least they used to, headphone. And that's great. I just had somebody on my worship team who tried the SE215s we have here, decide to buy the SE535s, so they're a 5-driver per side headphone, and they're over the moon happy. They struggled to determine whether they were going to spend the money to get a custom molded set of headphones or whether just a universal fit would work. And so this particular lady, she started on our Amazon phones, and then she was like, that's not very good. And I said, well, try our SE215s, and those were better. And she's like, well, maybe I'll try the 535. So she bought herself a pair and she tried them, and she really, really likes them. She's thrilled. This was her first weekend actually with them, and she came to me after rehearsal and was just blown away with how good they sounded in comparison to everything else she had used. And so the 535s I think are in the $500 range here in Canada. So now we're starting to talk about some fairly serious money. $500 is nothing to sneeze at, okay? So why would you go from there to something like my 64 Audio A6Ts? So again, I'll say it again, isolation's a huge reason. Soundstage is a huge reason. These are 6 drivers per side, so we've got multiple drivers handling highs, mids, and lows. And this is my 3rd set of custom in-ear monitors. And I can say that every time I've spent a little more money, I started out with getting some Westone triple driver headphones that started their life as universal fit. I got them remolded, and they were a great introduction to molded. I thought, wow, this is such a huge benefit. When those disappeared, somebody stole them. I bought a pair of 1964 ears, which is what 64 Audio was called before they changed their brand. V6 stages. I read rave reviews, I found a used pair, and again, I sent them in to be remolded, which is something that you might want to consider if you're looking for a good solid pair of headphones, but don't quite have the money to buy brand new ones, is you can buy other headphones and send them in to be remolded. I've had my remolds done both times by a company called inears with a Z. They make their own headphones as well, but they were one of the few companies I could find that would, in a reasonable amount of time for a reasonable amount of money, remold the headphones. And I was quite happy with those. I think I used those V6 stages for 3 years, but one of the drivers on the left side of that used pair of headphones eventually started to go funny, and I had to upgrade. And so I upgraded to the A6Ts, and I'll tell you what, like going even in the same company with new technology, the A6Ts have the Adele technology built into them, which is like a venting system to avoid pressure buildup. If you're wearing your ears for a long time, you can get pressure buildup, and the Adele system will help you vent that out. And then they also have a new high driver technology called TIA, which I'm kind of sensitive to high frequencies. I don't like particularly bright frequencies, especially when I'm playing guitar. So I was actually a little bit nervous when I ordered the A6Ts. But the A6Ts are like twice as good. I listened to music through these new headphones that I had been listening to for a decade and heard new things the first time I put them on that I had never heard in a mix with that before. And so another thing that you're getting at a custom high-end is separation, better frequency response. It's easier to plot things in your stereo field and hear them. So if you feel like, man, my only move here is to turn things up more, okay? Maybe a better set of headphones with more drivers might be something that you want to consider. You know, at the end of the day, I think that people need to think about their in-ears the same way they would think about anything else in their signal chain. Let me talk to the guitar players for a quick second, because this is where it actually came up, that somebody said it is absolute baloney that people are spending $1,000 on a pair of headphones. And I would say, you know, we spend tons of money on our amps. I've got a couple of really nice amps sitting behind me. Again, many thanks to my wife who lets me play with toys like this. But people go out all the time and spend $1,000 on their guitar cabinet. You know, the matching guitar cabinet for that two-rock head I have behind me is a $1,000 speaker cabinet. And it's the last thing you hear the amp through if you're playing it live. So why would you cheap out on the last thing that everything has to filter through? All your great cables and pedals and amp head and all the money you spent on everything that comes before that, even your guitar, has to filter through something to be heard. And so speaker cabinets matter. In the same way your in-ears matter. Why in heaven's name would you spend $2,000 on a Kemper and then listen to it through $30 headphones? That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Now, not everybody can buy $1,000 headphones, I get that. But probably most of us could afford something a little bit better than $30 headphones. So you have to find your happy medium. But if it was me, I would suggest to just about everybody that you consider spending as much money on your in-ears as you can. Everything, if you are a musician who gigs with in-ear monitors, I'm sort of the opinion that there's probably nothing you can spend money on that will have as much impact on the quality of your gigging experience as a great set of headphones. All right, that's kind of my little rant. If you have any questions, ideas, thoughts, please put them in the comments below. I would love to know what you're using for headphones. Have you found something in the middle ground that you love? Did you, like me, decide I have to spend a little bit more than maybe I want to in order to get the results that I'm looking for? If you haven't subscribed yet, I would love for you to do so. We're going to be having lots of conversations around here that are relevant to praise and worship, to churches, to the production of that kind of music, and I would love for you to come along on the journey. And if you need any advice, feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat with you more. Peace, everyone.